Thanks for being willing to explore how to activate your potential with Regenetics. Understanding our bioenergy blueprint. Dewey Larson's reciprocal system of physical theory establishes that we are reciprocal creatures, with one foot in the world of spirit, time-space, and the other in the world of matter, space-time. This model views the spiritual realm of time-space, being the repository of the consciousness templates from which our space-time reality is constructed, as primary. In Larson's groundbreaking theory, the so-called physical world is seen as a secondary epiphenomenon that emerges directly from what David Wilcock calls the consciousness field. Stated otherwise, reciprocal system theory provides an intellectual foundation for accepting the primacy of consciousness over the material. Additionally, this revolutionary model establishes a scientific rationale for addressing many issues related to physical reality, including the majority of health problems, using spiritual energy. If it is true that the blueprint for our existence, including that of our bodies and their dysfunctions, is held in the torsion field of time-space, a viable method for effecting permanent healing and fundamental transformation is to reset this blueprint when it is damaged. In order to reset our blueprint, we can employ linguistic means to generate torsion waves that stimulate a self-repair capability intrinsic to DNA. Activating this self-healing potential requires that we start at the genetic level, because in human biology, DNA is the principal connection point between our space-time existence and time-space blueprint. Sound and light domains. An early epiphany my partner Lee and I experienced using muscle testing or kinesiology to field test ourselves and our clients during the development of our work in DNA activation was that the human bioenergy blueprint is divided into a series of interconnected fields, each with specific regulatory functions across the body-mind-spirit spectrum. Esoteric science calls the composite of these linked levels the aura, which is subdivided into a number of auric fields. Over the past several decades, numerous researchers have confirmed the existence of this critically important bioenergy structure surrounding the body. UCLA professor Valerie Hunt describes how she used an EEG machine to detect and better understand the multi-layered aura. Dr. Hunt went so far as to theorize that the mind, instead of residing locally in the brain's neural network, actually exists non-locally in the auric fields. Viewed from the perspective of reciprocal system theory and torsion physics, Hunt's theory is right on the mark. Beyond any reasonable doubt, the bioenergy fields must be the mind. In these torsion templates of consciousness functioning hyperdimensionally in time-space, we experience the core creative workings of inspiration, intuition, and imagination. Only subsequently, passing into our space-time reality, are these subtle energy phenomena processed and actualized by the brain and central nervous system. In the words of Bruce Lipton, the switch from Newtonian to quantum mechanics changes the focus of psychology, from physiochemical mechanisms to the role of energy fields. Physicist and psychotherapist Arnold Mindell famously called our primary time-space manifestation the dream body, whose secondary counterpart in space-time is the physical body. Gifted psychic Sheridan Bryce sums up the situation straightforwardly. Your mind is your electromagnetic field, your auric bands, or whatever you wish to call them. The thing in your head is your brain. This statement brings up an important point in need of clarification. The term electromagnetic has often been employed erroneously to describe the bioenergy fields. I've used it myself this way for years, as in potentiation electromagnetic repatterning. Initially, I chose this term in order to emphasize the energetic quality of the bioenergy fields to a broad readership. At the time, I felt that auric sounded too esoteric, torsion was too obscure, and bioenergy, lacking a fuller explanation such as the one I am providing now, seemed too vague. The problem with electromagnetic as a description of bioenergy is that this energy is not actually electromagnetic. Rather, it is torsion energy or consciousness. While it gives rise to such effects as electromagnetism, it is not measurable as such. Not surprisingly, many researchers using traditional techniques to look for the bioenergy fields have come up empty. Nevertheless, the term electromagnetic is now a fixture in the Regenetics Method, where it is employed more descriptively than scientifically. Whenever you encounter it used in a way that seems to be a misnomer, I encourage you to substitute bioenergy or torsion. Torsion energy comes in three main varieties. All torsion energy ultimately stems from one source, which I call the consciousness of love. In Book 1 on the Regenetics Method, Conscious Healing, elaborating on the three-phase cosmological model I am sketching here, I conceptualize this source, our creator, as silent stillness, the pure potential or universal creative consciousness associated with the center of our galaxy. In the threefold process of creation, the consciousness of love differentiates first into torsion sound waves, then torsion light waves. Biblically speaking, the consciousness of love is God, who speaks the word, sound, in order to bring the world light into manifestation, such a framework for reality creation. in which a supreme consciousness literally speaks or sings a light-based, holographic world into existence, is omnipresent in religions and mythologies. In the ancient Vedas of India, we learn, "In the beginning was Brahman, with whom was the Word." The Tao Te Ching introduces a cosmology wherein the 10,000 things constituting our holographic reality were brought into being through breath, sound. In Mayan tradition, the Popol Vuh explains that the first humans were brought into being through speech. Similarly, the ancient Egyptians believed that life was created by language. In terms of torsion physics and reciprocal system theory as well, reality creation can be visualized as a three-step operation. This process follows a specific order in which the consciousness of love employs linguistically generated blueprints of torsion energy and time-space in the form of hyperdimensional sound, which then transform into reality constructs in space-time that are light-generated or holographic. This tripartite model of reality creation highlights 2 points with particular relevance to DNA activation. First, while it is true that we inhabit a light-based reality in space-time, the primary energy that directly gives rise to our existence in space-time is sound, just as so many ancient wisdom traditions have claimed. For this reason, I often find it useful to refer to time-space as the sound domain, and space-time as the light domain. Of course, both space-time and time-space contain sound as well as light energies. But while light is the operative principle here in space-time, the dreamlike domain of time-space appears to be governed by sound. The reason clairvoyants insist that the aura is visible stems from the likelihood that by tapping into ESP, they can see this sonic energy as it filters through DNA into space-time via a genetic mechanism that translates sound into light. Secondly, given that time-space is best understood as a function of sound energy, it should be obvious that our bioenergy fields are sonic in nature. Keep in mind, however, that we are discussing hyperdimensional torsion sound waves, which means you cannot simply press a button and record the aura. Since our consciousness blueprint in time-space is made of sound, and sound is the principal torsion energy for creating, supporting, and evolving life, using only light for healing, as the vast majority of energetic modalities do, often proves ineffectual. Hyperdimensional light is the form of torsion energy normally employed in energy medicine, whether we look at allergy elimination technique, acupuncture, Reiki, radionics, meditation, or machines. But remember that sound precedes and creates light. Compared to sound, light is superficial. Light is thought, form. Sound is being, essence. Light diagnoses, sound restores. Light treats, sound heals. Light is concerned with information, whereas sound is about transformation. A tried and true way to pursue genuine wholing is to work with sound, because sound is capable of accessing and changing the sound domain, where bioenergy distortions caused by trauma or toxicity, or both, are imprinted and states of illness are maintained. Ener-genetically, disharmony is disease. Trauma and toxicity-induced distortions in our bioenergy blueprint take the form of disharmonies that can be brought back into harmony using the right sounds. Effective sound healing is a form of entrainment or re-entrainment of off-key tunes within the sound domain back to harmonious and healthy melodies. This approach encourages healing and transformation in a manner that exceeds the capabilities of light alone. Here again, it is to be emphasized that the connection point between our sound and light domains is DNA. Practically, this means that DNA must be activated from our position in space-time if we are to heal and transform our reality blueprint in time-space. Bioenergy fields as ecosystems. A second critical discovery Lee and I made while field testing was that the bioenergy blueprint for the vast majority of humans is composed of exactly 9 fields. This came as something of a surprise, given that Vedic tradition recognizes only 7 major bioenergy points known as the chakras. Then again, according to certain New Age teachings, supposedly there are 12 chakras. Many of these latter teachings also posit without evidence the existence of multiple human DNA strands ranging in number from as few as 12 to, somewhat comically, as many as hundreds or even thousands. Simply put, even a cursory review of the esoteric literature reveals wide-ranging viewpoints as to the number of bioenergy centers humans possess. For those unfamiliar with the term, chakras are bioenergy loci in the form of wheels aligned with the spinal column, starting with the first or root chakra at the sacrum and moving up. In the 1980s, Japanese scientist Hiroshi Motoyama developed instrumentation capable of measuring bioluminescence emitted by the chakras of yoga masters. The chakras differ from the bioenergy fields in that the former are composed of hyperdimensional light that operates in space-time, while the latter are formed by torsion sound waves functioning in time-space. Acting as a counterpart to our sonic bioenergy fields, the light-based chakras match these fields in order and number, and are responsible for distributing life energy originating in time-space to our physical anatomy in space-time. The majority of elements regulated by a particular bioenergy field equally apply to the corresponding chakra. Together, numerically matching fields and chakras form a bioenergy center. Note that in these paired relationships, the bioenergy fields govern the chakras, not the other way around. Just as at the torsion level sound directs the action of light, I probably never would have become involved in the debate as to the exact number of our primary bioenergy centers, had extensive kinesiological data not clearly and repeatedly revealed the existence of 9 chakras and 9 bioenergy fields in the unpotentiated human. Certainly I had no preconceptions about this topic when Lee and I began our research. At the time, like many people, I barely knew what a chakra was. Here it is my sincere belief that my naivete was helpful, allowing me to observe dispassionately simply what was, instead of seeing what I had been told should be. This situation reminds me of an old shamanic tradition in which a task considered impossible by elder shamans is given to a novice. The idea is that since the novice does not know that the task cannot be accomplished, he somehow manages to accomplish it. Shortly after our discovery of 9 bioenergy levels, Lee and I were gratified to learn that well-known medical intuitive Caroline Myss had picked up on the presence of an 8th and 9th chakra. Since that time, various additional sources using SCIO and other subtle energy detection systems have confirmed the existence of 9 bioenergy centers, as well as the transformation of this initial blueprint to 8 centers that occurs during potentiation. Perhaps the reason the 8th and 9th bioenergy centers were glossed over in Vedic lore is that they are associated with the most subtle aspect of our being, DNA, in contrast to the other 7 chakras that appear more directly situated within our physical anatomy. Be that as it may, there is a way to transcend theory and achieve an inner gnosis of our bioenergy blueprint. Beyond channeling, intuition, tradition, kinesiology, and even technology, potentiation allows you to experience these 9 bioenergy centers in action as they are repatterned by torsion waves of consciousness. Through potentiation, our inherently unstable and fragmented structure based on the number 9 is recalibrated permanently to a stable and balanced infinity circuit founded on the number 8. This occurs after the ener-genetic disruption constituted by the fragmentary body is sealed at approximately the 5-month mark following the potentiation session. Essential to grasping the role our bioenergy centers play in health and disease is to view them as ecosystems, where various related factors function either harmoniously to maintain well-being or disharmoniously to engender illness. An ecosystem is defined as a biological community of interdependent organisms and their physical habitat. In the case of our bioenergy blueprint, each field combines with a chakra to form a bioenergy center that regulates the activity of specific microorganisms in relation to particular environments, in the form of organ systems and glands. As an example, let us look at the second bioenergy center from the bottom, referred to as the fragmentary body prior to sealing during potentiation. In this figure, ignoring the blank categories, we see that the microorganisms governed by the fragmentary body are dental bacteria and parasites with associated toxins, while the organ systems are the oral and reproductive, and the gland is the thyroid. Linked to these material elements are the emotions of embarrassment, envy, jealousy, and shame, in addition to a number of conditions. Based on this bioenergetic ecosystem, consider the following scenario. In physical terms, dental bacteria obviously are linked to the oral system. Distortion in the fragmentary body, brought on by, say, shame-producing sexual trauma in tandem with toxicity resulting from parasitic infection of the thyroid gland, increases the likelihood of breakdown in another part of the ecosystem, in this case the oral system. Such a situation can lead to proliferation of bacteria which, if left unchecked, eventually results in a number of possible conditions, including dental decay, halitosis, and periodontal disease. This example easily can be extrapolated to all 9 levels of our bioenergy blueprint, giving rise to a novel and empowering way of understanding ourselves as bio-spiritual beings, digging at the root. The above example of toxicity and trauma in the fragmentary body allows us to grasp how numerous spiritual and material disharmonies typically combine to produce a state of disease. This example makes it clear that instead of being created in our space-time physical reality, illness grows out of sonic distortions recorded in our bioenergy blueprint in time-space. Thus, we can appreciate another dimension of reciprocal system theory, as applied to medical science. The existence of time-space as a causal domain undermines the theory and practice of solely materialistic diagnosis, which only looks at effects. The foregoing statement is far-reaching indeed. According to many native wisdom traditions, there is a spiritual cause for everything, including ostensibly physical dysfunctions. For instance, a medicine man or woman virtually never looks at a broken leg as merely an unfortunate accident. Injury to the leg has archetypal as well as personal significance, and may indicate that the injured person has failed to stand up for herself in some important way. This line of thinking, in which even the most blatantly material effects of illness have a spiritual basis, informs the healing theory and practice of renowned author Louise Hay. In fact, many conditions are so complex, being occasioned by multiple factors that distort the bioenergy blueprint, that trying to address them by treating each symptom individually, the approach adopted by allopathic medicine, more often than not fails in its objective. Here I'm reminded of Henry David Thoreau's famous line that there are 10,000 chopping at the branches of evil, for everyone digging at the root. As someone who endured years of expensive therapies that simply were chopping away at the branches of my chronic autoimmune illness, I deeply appreciate that in order to heal and transform ourselves truly and lastingly, we must toss aside our axes, pick up a shovel, and dig for the root. In the above analogy, the branches represent symptoms. Axes symbolize space-time, light-based therapies for treating or managing symptoms. The root is our bioenergy blueprint in the sound domain, where and only where disease-causing distortions can be restored permanently to harmony, and the shovel is any modality capable of resetting the bioenergy blueprint via the only connection point through which such an activation can occur: DNA. Enjoy the beloved and international best-selling sound healing classic from which this video was adapted. Learn how to activate your own DNA for healing and transformation. Become a Regenetics Method facilitator. Experience Potentiation virtually the first Sunday of each month. Sharing is caring and subscribing is vibing. To follow is human, to comment divine.